Hello everybody, good day, good morning to you. So I have a short break from work and I want to use this time to make a small video. It's something that I want to try now maybe more frequently, and out of several reasons. Reason number one is I can speak, and I see a lot of necessity to speak in this moment in my life, and for me being in this world with all the things happening left, right and center, I see a big necessity to speak up, speak pro and contra, and there is so many things to speak for, and there's so many things to speak against. Specifically, I would say to speak for justice and justice, human rights, social justice and environmental justice, and against the system that bell hooks taught us to be a imperialist, capitalist, white supremacist patriarchy. So I see a big necessity, and due to the fact that I can speak, I think I should speak, or at least I see it as also my responsibility. So I try to make short videos and publish them eventually. And another reason is that I know that there is some people that are listening to what I say and take it serious. I don't know if it's a few or a few more, but I know there is a few, even of those ones who might not put a like under the video or comment. By the way, I don't know if I open the comment section or not, due to the fact that I find it very important to moderate commentary sections. So I have to check if I have that energy, because I find it horrible when there is good intended for example videos, but then there is commentary sections full of discrimination, bullyism, hatred and so on, without any moderation, without any facilitation, and without any blocking of hatred, discrimination and the like. So I know there is even some youths of age 14 to 20 that are seriously considering what I'm saying. So props to everyone, respect to everybody who takes me serious. I want to take you serious as well, and thanks especially also to the youths, because if it fills me also with honor to be listened to and taken serious by young people. Thank you to everyone. So what can I say now? A few things, let's say updates from my side. It's the third day of Eid of Ramadan, the ending of the Ramadan. Big shout out to all the Muslim brothers and sisters, the whole Ummah, the whole community of Muslims worldwide. Eid Mubarak. May Allah protect you, accept your fastings, accept your prayers, accept all the good deeds, all the good thoughts, all the good niyyah, and forgive our sins and all the mistakes and the wrongdoings, and make us better human beings, better versions of ourselves, strengthen us in our communities, in our Ummah, amongst our families and friends. May Allah have mercy, and may Allah make us understand the mercy. Special shout out to everybody who is out there really suffering. Special shout out to the people in Gaza, in Palestine, but in all the other places in the world where people are suffering in horrible situations. Please God help them. Allah, please have mercy and make us understand the mercy, and make us work for justice and peace. Few more things. One topic: yesterday evening I went to a small event in the neighboring village. It was interesting, on the topic of care work and mental load. Mental load connected to domestic mental load, meaning the workload that human beings are carrying within the domestic sphere, meaning in the householding, in the family, care working, in the care working in the family, in the house, a workload that is mostly lying on the shoulders of women. And it was interesting because the psychologist brought some calculations showing on how big the workload is, the one that is easily seen, like all the care work for the household, for the children, but also the one that is not seen, of course, all the way to the emotional labor, emotional work and care work that is totally unseen in our society. But it's crazy work. It sums up to crazy workload. No wonder that a lot of times human beings get very sick. And in our society, this is still on the shoulders of almost big percent, almost, I know it in my case. I'm living in a heteronormative relationship, and like my partner, who is female, she does like almost 100% of that work, which is absolutely unjust. And inshallah, may God help us to find ways to change that. We are working on it, and I want to better myself also in that work. It was interesting yesterday. It gave me some new input. At the same time, I found the evening a little bit, how can I say? It was still strongly remaining in the framework of heteronormative relationships and white marriages. Like the focus was specifically on those relationships, like, let's say, married women, and it was not outspoken, but it was clear that it was specifically white women who were there yesterday, like mostly, and and structural topics were touched very little. So basically, to me, in the end, it came down to a coaching even, or let's say an information evening on how the workload in heteronormative white marriages is still unjust, and what people could do to make that a topic, what women could do, because most of the person there were women. The men were three, we were 3 men or 4, and amongst, 30-40 ladies. The institution of marriage was not really made a topic. Like it did not reach to that level of making it like criticizing the institution of marriage itself in its structures. It was not tackled. Whiteness and class were not mentioned. So I'm like, it remained in a certain framework where I'm like, okay, I don't believe in it when there is like those structural levels are not tackled, like, as I say, Bell Hooks explained it to us. May she rest in power. Bell Hooks said it, so we got the books, we got the teachings, we have the access to the knowledge. So for me, it's like, okay, let's talk about imperialist, white supremacist, capitalist patriarchy. We got to see the whole system, because if not, we will not tackle much of it. We will stay in a certain frame. It will just be like, okay, what can we do to make our marriage a little more just? But as long as we don't tackle the system, I don't think that much change will happen. So I'm saying this, and from there I also bring it to the other level, to the broader, to the systemic level. I see whiteness. I'm living here in the Central Europe, and I see what our white capitalistic system is producing. I'm again looking looking out of Fortress Europe. I'm again looking to Gaza. People are still being starved. People are still being killed. It's genocide happening. Our white system is still backing it, even though slowly, some people are like, let me show that I'm not so very much for it. Some Western politicians are slowly showing that no, we gotta take a distance, But we have to BDS, It's like it's an apartheid system. It's a genocidal apartheid system. you know, and up to now, our West is backing it fully, and we are still backing it. And if now a little critics come in, it's a very superficial. As long as we don't boycott, divest, and sanction heavily, we are still complicit. Full stop. Full stop. So are we gonna do that? I very much doubt it, because if we are a white system, it means something. It means that we are a white system that is hundreds of years of exactly this genocidal, racist, apartheid system, capitalism that is sucking, killing, genociding, extracting, stealing, oppressing. Is it gonna change by itself? It's not gonna change. The whole system is not gonna change. So shout out to everybody who is resisting, everybody who is in resistance in the so-called global south, or also here within the Western world, white Western world. And sometimes, because I see that in my surroundings, I'm here in South Tyrol, Italy, I'm born and raised in a German-speaking minority where almost nobody of this, my so-called people, where I come from, there is no solidarity. There is no solidarity in anti-racist struggles, for example, with the Palestinian people, or let's say very few. Shout out to the people who do it, like the last week I went to Bolzano. There was a very nice meeting of organizing, and I met 2 other people who are German speakers like myself, and it was like really nice to see them. We linked up, we spoke, we shared some words, we shared some contacts. May we continue to work together, and we exist. Maybe we are more out there, maybe we are more. We have to find one another, we have to stick together, we have to help one another, stand up together in solidarity with indigenous people worldwide, Palestinian people in Palestine and in the diaspora, African people in Africa and in the diaspora, all the so-called, all the people who are the so-called ex-colonized, and they are in the real sense still colonized, and the diasporas. We have to do anti-racist work. I hope we're gonna do it. I want to do it myself, and I'm really happy that there is youths who are willing to, to talk about these things, to get down to the issues, to stand up for justice, to do their work, to check and counter-check, to break with the narrative of the dominant media, to put their own head together, to be critical, to be and become and continue becoming critical thinkers. So that's it for today. What I'm gonna do is down there in the description, I'm gonna just again and again put a few media sources that I use, most of them all in English language. I hope you can follow them or check them out. I'm happy that there is media, there's journalism. Critical journalism exists. We gotta use it, we gotta support it, we gotta push it, we gotta invest in it if we can. As long as we can, because we still, here in the so-called West, we have a certain freedom of speech that we can still use, some of us, each one in different ways. That's a way that I'm using mine here. Thank you for your attention, and see you next time. Thanks for being there. So I still want to add something to the previous short video, and that is because online in the internet, in Facebook, I found a post that I shared with a quote by Terence McKenna, and this quote really speaks from my mind and soul, because it formulates something that I'm thinking about a lot, also in these days, but also for a long time, but specifically also in these days. And I'm gonna read it. So it states, "The apocalypse is not something which is coming. The apocalypse has arrived in major portions of the planet, and it's only because we live within a bubble of incredible privilege and social insulation that we still have the luxury of anticipating the apocalypse. I repeat it because I think it really puts, this quote really puts my thoughts into one phrase. I've been thinking of this a lot. I think it's really true, yeah. And I shared the post and I wrote, as a little comment, I wrote, as white South Tyrolean guy coming from a middle class, I can agree and identify. It is very true for the likes. For the likes, like people like me, people of the European white, grow up, middle class, people like me, more or less in the similar situation, living in the center of whiteness. I repeat, the apocalypse is not coming. The apocalypse is not something which is coming. The apocalypse has arrived in major portions of the planet, and it's only because we live within a bubble of incredible privilege and social insulation that we still have the luxury of anticipating the apocalypse. Yeah, that's how I understand it. Like, we really must live in crazy privilege to think that the apocalypse is something that will come in some sort of far future, while so many people of this world are living the apocalypse for a very long time already. They are living it today, or they have been living it for a long time, for centuries. I'm thinking of the Maafa, the enslavement of black people, the so-called triangle trade, transatlantic slave trade, the trade of enslaved people. People are not slaves, people are enslaved. Apocalyptic for centuries. Racism is apocalypse for centuries. Colonization, racism. Today in Israel, in Palestine, let's call it the way it is. In Palestine, Palestinian land, Palestinian people being undergoing apocalypse today. Only people like me who are white have the privilege to think that the apocalypse is something that will come in some type of future. And I had this thought a long time, and especially these days, I also got the image or the symbol of a tornado. The tornado has the eye in the middle. The eye is like the center. And I don't know if it's true, but in all those movies, the tornado movies and so, you see that in the center, it's all calm, which makes some type of sense, of course. Physically, the pole is standing still. So that's how I see life in this white center, the center of whiteness, In the center of whiteness, we have some type of peace. And that is how I read also my personal life, here in the white European middle class situation for how I grew up. Now I got my 44 years almost. And I remember I grew up like that, it's like this idea that we have peace, here, it's like peaceful. And the crazy idea to think that we earned it, that we got the peace because we are somehow good, because we somehow deserve it, because we are somehow better than others, we are somehow worthy more than others, or because we are, because we are better. Yeah, that's in the end of the day, that's the idea. We got peace because we deserve it, because we earned it, because we worked for it, and that's why we deserve it. And all the people around is their own fault that they are living in disaster. So I think that is the ideology of racism, brought into one quote, thinking that the apocalypse is coming some day later, like all these books that we are following in our religions. Apocalypse is somewhere in the future, whereby a lot of people are living it. What is the quote of like the Public Enemy, who are singing, the white man's heaven is the black man's hell. I think we should think about that, especially white people like us who grew up like this, thinking that we are better. Man, we are really not. It's a brainwash that we got from the cradle, from when we are born, thinking that we somehow deserve, thinking that we have some type of peace because we earned it. It's really not true. Like, it's really bullshit. It's really racist to think so. Yeah, I think it's a discourse we gotta have. And it connects so much to our geopolitics that is very crazy. Like, when you see that here, it's so racist, like people also, I think of Germany, like where they have a government of, even the SPD and the Greens are in the government, and they are upholding such, talking about being green and being, sustainable, this word of sustainability, democracy, sustainability, being good and all, while they are investing in so much war, like while they are already putting so many billions in more weapons, and as usual, always pushing the idea that it's necessary because we have the enemy and it's a barbar, the enemy in the east, the enemy in the south, the enemy in the southeast. Everywhere on those sides, we got those enemies that are the barbars, it's just the same old narrative, and it's just crazy how it's still being used, and not only by the clear right-wing, far-right, clear ones, the fascists on the far-right way. It's clear, we all know that they're fascists and so on, that they're racist. They don't hide, they do not hide. But I'm talking about the so-called center-left, greenish situation, where people are like, no, we are liberal, we just want peace and so on. No wonder that nobody wants to vote for them, and we need an alternative, really. We really need an alternative, because it's going down heavily. They're boosting our billions into weapon industry, into the war machine. So now they are constructing the weapons, very crazy weapons. We see what they use in Palestine, to kill the human beings, the AI, the machines that are killing, and very crazy machines, targeting human beings like nothing, experimenting on the Palestinian bodies. That's what we hear about, because thank God at least we have some type of connection, We know that there's many places where genocide is happening in even more silence, Because in Palestine, somehow we, outside of the dominant narrative, we are breaking through the barriers of silence. We are breaking through the walls of silence. We have to continue doing that work. We have to continue. And we cannot stop there, because we know that in Sudan, war crimes are happening that are just unseen, they're just cancelled. Nobody should see them. They're cancelled from our eyes even more. In the Congo. So we cannot stop in Palestine. We have to free everyone, free ourselves. Free Palestine, free the humanity there, and in the Sudan, and in the Congo, and especially in ourselves, because how can any of us be coherent, How can we be free? How can we heal if we accept such injustice, such a system that is so genocidal, discriminatory, horrible? It holds no future. It does not hold a future. We have to work for peace and justice. So in Europe, I don't know, we have to create a left. I don't know, there's this guy, what is he called? Varoufakis, no? Props to him for what he's doing. Yes. In Italy, we have a movement now that being constructed towards the European Parliament elections, a movement that will stand up for peace. What is the name? What is the name? I'll check it up. Pace, Terra e Dignità, with this guy Michele Santoro. We have to check it up. Pace, Terra e Dignità movement in Italy towards the parliaments, European Parliament elections. Yeah, man, we need peace, you know. Some of us have children. Do we want to burn them somewhere in the war? I don't. Even for myself, you know, I don't want to live in war, in poverty, you know, it's not good. We should free others and ourselves by working for peace. And we have to check on what they do, we have to check on what they do, not just on what they say. When they call something peace and they call it green, and at the same time they're just investing in the military lobby, and they're telling us there is no alternative, we need weapons, no alternative, one cannot talk to the other is the Satan, the other is the Hitler, the other is psychopath, one cannot talk to him, only the weapons can talk. Man, it's what they always say to create war. It was always so, they'll always do it because they're earning through war, but we are losing. We are losing our lives, our humanity, our blood. It's not a good thing. Let's work for peace, inshallah. We have to do it. Let's try. So it's like today is a good day for making videos. I want to add this one. Okay, it's already evening, but just one topic came up, so I want to add it for today. You know, my bestie, she just brought me some news from Germany, where it says that there is some news in the politics, you know, in the rules and regulations and in the laws, and it says that it's getting more easy for people to change their gender identity by law, like for people who are full of age, like 18 years old, to change the gender identity, you know, like I can change and identify. Okay, normally I go as male. I use pronouns he and him. I could now, inshallah, I could more easily change, you know, and go as she, her, or maybe they, them, or diverse. Yes, and also it's not allowed for other people then to use my dead name. You know, it's like people have to respect my pronoun. Yeah, and my name and my pronoun. So that is like some victory for trans people's rights, LGBTQ rights, specifically trans people's rights and non-binaries rights. It's like a, you know, yeah, man, to celebrate, because trans people, as we know, are oppressed in the society, or at the very receiving end of a lot of violence in this heteronormative patriarchal system, specifically trans women, of course, specifically black trans women or trans women of color. So yeah, cool for the news, big up for the news, you know. I celebrate the news for trans rights, for LGBTQ rights. At the same time, I think, like for me, you know, at the same time, when I hear such news from Germany, it's like, to me, the first thing that comes up is like, no trust. You know, why am I saying it? And I say that, yeah, these things, yeah, they have to be thought together. I respect, you know, and I celebrate the news for trans people, and together with trans people, not only, but together with all of us, you know, to break down some walls of patriarchy and of this very violent system. At the same time, I think that this is happening in Germany in 2024, in the same Germany that is investing in war, in the same Germany that is covering up genocide, against Palestinian people. In the same Germany that is pushing the military etat, like the military budget, like in a crazy way, specifically also since Russia is invading Ukraine. The Germans have, their answer is to invest in war. In 2024, they are still like the second biggest financer of Israel, sending weapons to Israel to commit genocidal violence against Palestinian people. Germany, like the other, like some 2 weeks or so ago, a bank in Germany blocked the bank account of the group Jüdische Stimme für gerechten Frieden in Nahost, like Jewish Voice for Peace in the Middle East, Jewish Voice for Just Peace in the Middle East. Like a German bank blocked their bank account, because they are framed as anti-Semitic Jews or something like that. It's like very crazy. I don't know if the bank said it so, but it comes down to that. It comes down to it's a group that is problematic in Germany today because they're speaking against the genocide and against the Zionist apartheid system. So this is Germany 2024, and it connects to what I said before, like the eye of the, how can I say, the eye of whiteness, the center of the tornado and such things, And this is where today we are, seeing some victories for feminist rights or LGBTQ rights, like trans feminist rights, queer feminist rights. Man, I celebrate them while I don't trust Germany, and I know that they're weaponizing it. I know, it's like they're weaponizing it together with their allies like Israel, where I really saw like pictures of people going with the rainbow flag onto the rubble in Gaza, placing the rainbow flag onto the rubble in Gaza where people were like slaughtered, killed, genocidal violence. And then soldiers coming and placing the LGBTQ flag there. So fully weaponizing queer liberation struggles or trans feminist liberation struggles, clearly weaponizing them for their racist colonial violence and colonial program. I think that is what Germany is doing, frankly, I think that's what they're doing, like weaponizing these things, like these victories in the right. So also when in Germany people today are speaking about, even when you see now diversity programs, and see more black people in certain positions, black people getting more visibility in some programs, TV or whatever. On the one hand, of course, I celebrate it, because I'm like, it's about time, and it's about time, and it of course it's just one step, and many more have to follow, more diversity everywhere, black liberation should step on and all. But of course, I mean, is it called tokenizing? I don't know, but in the end of the day, I see the bigger picture also. I mean, just saying, Germany is putting freaking money into war industry. They are really pushing the war industry on the next level, like Germany is reinvesting in the Bundeswehr, Bundeswehr. The reunited Germany is pushing the etat, like with the Ukraine invasion, Russian invasion in Ukraine, they boosted this extra budget of extra 100 billion euros, like 2 years ago already, when they boosted their military etat for extra 100 billion. Of course, it's being invested, and now they're giving help, 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 is the colonial language of ever since. Helping, helping, helping with the weapons, and continuing to help against the barbars, the terrorists, the bad ones, the bad guys. It's like, is an old story that is continuing, and it's also not new that they're using it with a feminist alibi, like if they frame it as feminist, it's like really nothing new. Like, I think it was always so, wasn't it? If we check, it was always so, isn't it? That colonialism also comes with a feminist agenda, the white feminist agenda. Okay, today, of course, is next level 2.0 is the rainbow level, but for the rest is what is changing. It seems like not much changes. It just seems like the same. As I say, I go back to the fact, solidarity with LGBTQ people, specifically with trans people, and the non-binary people, specifically black non-binary people, black trans people, specifically black trans women, who are always in the forefront of the liberation struggles. Palestinian women are women too. Yeah,